All right, everyone. Welcome to a TGF L1 Task Force Spin Prop Space. Give everybody a few minutes. We'll get the speakers up. Lunkburn, you want to accept co-host?
Sure, I'm happy to.
All right, I'll get that sent over to you. And then I think we're waiting on a few more people to hop in here. Huh? All right, welcome, LDF. Who do we have the presence with? Is that Brian or Chrissy?
It's Brian.
Hey, Brian, how's it going, man?
Good, how are you? Can you pop me up to co-host as well, please?
Yeah, I'll send you one.
We're looking for Ed.
And then we got Terra Grants Foundation, who's reporting from that account.
Hi guys, Marco Ferreira here.
Hey, Marco, thanks for being here, man.
For hosting me.
All right, so we're just waiting for Ed to show up, and then we can get to making some announcements that we have. It's going to be not too long of a space today. I think 30, 45 minutes. We'll take some questions towards the end from the community. So we'll leave a segment for that. Did y'all send Ed an invite by any chance?
Yeah, he said he's attending.
All right, well, we'll give it a few minutes, wait for him to get in here, and then we'll get this thing kicked off.
I saw his picture for a second and then it disappeared.
So I know everybody's pretty excited about today, about the announcement. I know I am myself. So, yeah, I can't wait to get into all the topics here today. Let me see if he's in here yet. I'm going to send him a message real quick. All right, well, I guess while we're waiting on him, Lunkburn, do you want to take the floor, give some opening statements?
Yeah, I think so. So I can start things off, and basically, as the title says, there's going to be a spend proposal forthcoming. The proposal is being put, the final touches are being put on the proposal right now, and it's kind of being reviewed, by Ed, making some edits and some things like that. So that'll be forthcoming. And one of the things that, so just to back up a little bit, as everybody's aware, several weeks ago, the SEC took action against Do Kwon and TFL. And following that, there was some discussions with the community and surrounding some of the potential challenges and legality of associated with those actions. So the L1 task force, TGF, and so on, primarily TGF, because they kind of employ the L1 task force, we need to obtain legal advice, and we had been hinting that we would be getting legal advice for how we can work on the blockchain and how we can do things moving forward. So we've had some great conversations, and I think we found a firm that we're excited to work with, and that will be coming forth in a spend proposal. And really, we need that help because of the ever-changing regulatory environments. We want to make sure that we're safe to develop on the chain, and make sure that we're doing things by the book, and that we're in compliance with all of the regulatory requirements. So that's basically the announcement. Ed, do you want to add to that maybe a little bit as well?
Sorry, I'm having issues. What's going on?
I was just
I'm in and out here.
Yeah, I gave the brief overview that for basically for a variety of reasons we require legal counsel. And that we're going to be putting forward a spend proposition. And I wanted to know if you wanted to give any more background on it. I gave a brief background, but you might be able to also add to that.
Yeah, I can give some context to the whole thing. So, I mean, when we started working on this blockchain months ago, we did consult various law firms at different stages, and I think over the period of 6-7 months, we did consult to various degrees like 6 or 7 law firms, and these were known crypto law firms in the United States, all across the U.S. We went to several rounds with some of them, multiple rounds, as it was clear, like from initial meet and greet, that the situation that we're in is much different than anything that anyone had ever expected us to come in, right? So, for several law firms, it was like initial meeting, and I would sort of lay out what's going on, and they'd be like, wait a minute, like we need to bring XYZ person in because this is just beyond the initial person's capacity or whatnot. And across the board, I would say when it comes to the improvement to the technology, working on the blockchain, trying to fix what was broken, across the board, all the law firms were like, oh yeah, like sure, go ahead, you're safe, type of thing. When it comes to more complicated things that we wanted to do, such as look at how to improve the stablecoin, how to maybe look at how to enable the market swap or repeg, or some of the other little more risky type activities, then we got a lot of advice across the board. Some people were just like, go ahead and ask for forgiveness later on, which was like, I don't know if that's the best approach. Some of them were like, you know what, if you want to keep your nose clean, just don't even touch it, right? And so we got a lot of advice across the board for those sort of activities. And I think in sort of the law firm, I don't know if we mentioned which one it is, but they have significant they are native crypto lawyers. They were general counsel for Solana. Work with Osmosis, work with Alexar, work with other Cosmos chains. They're very knowledgeable in this space, and it wasn't like they weren't like, hey, don't do it. They weren't like, hey, let's go for it and break stuff. It was like, all right, these are the steps that we need to take. This is the regulation that you need to comply with. So it was very professional. It was very knowledgeable. And I think all of us really just got a sense of comfort from talking to them. Like, hey, these guys know what they know what's up. They know the technology. This is not their first rodeo. And so, yeah, I mean, given our experience with our initial consultations, we think that it would be wise in this regulatory environment to retain some sort of legal counsel. I don't know if that gives enough context.
And also, I can add to what Ed has alluded about the law firm. They respect and acknowledge the community itself, the loan community, how it's engaging and how we receive input from the community and transform into proposals and upcoming programming ideas. And they still want to continue that as well under their guise of legal counsel as well. So the same type of format, community ambassadors, community individuals coming forward on these AMAs and other activities. We're still going to gather input and put in place other roadmaps of activity for the blockchain.
Well, very cool. Can y'all give us a little insight towards is there a Agora post up yet pertaining to this spin proposal for the lawyers?
So that's what I was just when I sort of opened, I was mentioning, Matt, that it's undergoing it. We had hoped potentially to get it up today, but I think we have some final finishing touches and edits to make to it, to post it. So that's forthcoming still.
Okay, yeah, just so everybody knows, this will be separate from any Q2 spin prop that you guys have coming forward, correct?
Yeah, this is 100% separate from any Q2 spin prop. It is strictly so that we can ensure that we're working within regulatory compliance. I was very pleased in our initial consultations that, I asked the question because there was some previous community questions and discussions, like, are we even safe, like maintaining and fixing the blockchain and upgrading it and so on? And the answer, yes, we're okay that way. Having said that, I think that, to Ed's point, that we really do need for the other pieces, we really need, especially as it relates for stablecoin, we really need some guidance on how to proceed and how to navigate those waters. So it's an important piece that we get that done. And there's some structural optimizations that I think that they're going to want to see as well in terms of how TGF is set up, how the L1 task force is set up. It, like, in terms of corporate, like incorporation around the L1 task force and things like that. So those are all things that, as we get advice from them, we'll be looking at. But I do want to say what this is not. This is not like a, in the past we had some other proposals that went for like a global sort of entire blockchain governance restructure. It's nothing to that effect. This is just strictly like, there's the TGF on the blockchain, and there's the L1 task force. We've got L2 development teams and other folks that are developing. We need some guidelines for like what we can and can't do, what the SEC has to say about matters, and all of those types of things. So we really just need to make sure that we're following all the regulatory guidelines, and that's what we need some help with.
And can I just quickly add to that? What's going to happen is not just guidance, but they're actually going to help us write the proposals when it comes to things like a stable coin and such, so that we are in compliance with any laws that are currently on the books or that are coming down the pipeline. Because obviously they're in touch with all of those different things. And, our number one thing is just to make sure everyone is legally compliant. And, we just really think that the protocol, needs this type of legal representation, especially with everything that we're seeing right now with the SEC.
Yeah, one of the things that I would share that got me, where I was a little bit happy to hear, was that there's the prospect that we can actually work on a stable coin, because I had personally kind of, as soon as the SEC action had taken place, personally I had kind of assumed that, we're not going to be able to do this. That was just my own internal thought process. But after meeting with the legal counsel, it looks like, it's not an easy necessarily like, oh yeah, this is, I think that there's a way to do it. And that's what is exciting to me as an individual and as somebody working on this blockchain, because I think that in the fullness of time, implementing technology like that and reestablishing a stable coin, looking at things like the mint swap mechanism, the swap, those are all important pieces. And it's exciting to be able to have, it's exciting to be able to have somebody who can give you guidance and walk you through the right way and help you step through, so that you're doing things compliant and legally, not that anybody would have the intent to do anything incorrectly, but we want to make sure that we're doing things, that the SEC is happy with ultimately at the end of the day. So, and other governmental agencies around the world as they're introducing regulations. So I found that part particularly exciting for myself personally.
No, definitely, man. Especially with all the regulations coming in with stable coins and everything, it's good to get some type of legal direction moving forward. So, um, is there a timeline when we could see the post put on Agora for everybody?
I think, my feeling is that that's a good Ed question, because we've kind of got the document in a decent state, but it still needs some revisions, and then it needs a final round of review, and we probably want the law firm itself to review it as well. So when you get into these kind of document reviews, my gut feel would be kind of next week, sometime early next week potentially, but I would leave that to Ed. I don't want to really give it a time frame without having the chance to kind of finalize and firm that up internally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely understand. Go ahead, Ed.
Oh yeah, I just was going to say that I think we're trying to propose what we think is best for the community in this regard. Obviously, there's sort of a back and forth with, given that we are completely decentralized, right? They're not. It's not just like a representation of a centralized group that's working here. It's like, how do we even structure a proposal like this to benefit the community globally, not just select few people. So I think we're still sort of navigating how best to engage. And on the flip side, I think this is pretty new. Actually everything in crypto is pretty new. So yeah, I think timeline wise, it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah, that's some pretty uncharted waters that you guys are going to have to go down. So I can't wait to see the Agora post and to see how y'all structure everything. I know it was going to be a pretty not long space today. We got some people requesting. Y'all want to start some questions, or do y'all have some more?
No, I was just going to say, Matt, I think this is a good, it's a good introduction, and we want to have the questions and community engagement so that, we can get people's feedback and things like that. And I think that's a great idea.
Let me actually just quickly add one more thing. Right now, the firm is actually going through all of the different steps that have been taken since, I believe, the crash. I know Ed sent over a document with everything that has been done to this point, and so they're getting up to speed with where we are completely with the blockchain, which I think is great. And so that's also happening at this current moment.
Yeah, because I mean, the need for lawyers has been, long time coming. We saw it back from the holacracy proposals, and we needed structure and all that good stuff. So, I think it's a good thing to bring in some lawyers to make sure, especially when we're touching base on USTC and areas like that. So, I think it's a good idea. So let's go ahead and bring Jerry up. Jerry, once you get connected, my friend, you have the mic. You can come up, ask your question, and then we'll try to keep it brief. It's not going to be a super long space today, guys. So we'll try to keep it 1 or 2 questions per, and then we'll keep it moving along. Looks like he's still connecting. So let's go to Vargas. How's it going, Vargas? You now have the mic, my friend. Go ahead and ask your question. Vargas, can you hear us?
Looks like there are some connection issues happening.
Yeah, I don't see him on the stage.
Yeah, Twitter's acting funny today. All right, Mr. Diamond Hands, can you hear us?
Yeah, loud and clear, everybody. Hey, thanks for the space, guys. Really appreciate it. Just have 3 quick questions. Thank you guys for having this quick space for the community. It's very, very awesome to hear that you guys are going down this route. I think it's very, very important, especially with everything that's happening in the crypto space with rules and regulations coming on the pipeline. I think this is the great way to go. So just 3 questions. Is it TGF, I assume, that's going to be hiring the law firm and not L1 Task Force? Is that right? Is it Terra Grants that's doing it?
That's correct. Ed hit the nail on the head, though, in with respect to how we structure the proposal, that it's understood that it's really to benefit the entire blockchain as well. And there are other touch points. So it's they'll be working with TGF, but they'll be providing advice that will be published out that would benefit others as well. So there's definitely that aspect of it.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm not actually sure like who this is. If it comes down, it would be a community spend proposal. So it's not like TGF is the ones that are hiring them. In fact, there's some restructuring that would need to happen. So I don't know. I think that's
fair enough, Ed. Sorry.
Yeah.
If I can just add in, ultimately, in the long run, they're going to be representing the protocol.
Yep, that's right.
All right, Mr. Diamond, you got two more?
Hey, man, I'm sorry I was muted. I apologize. I had like two quick ones real quick. Can we get the name of the firm? And when we vote on this, if it passes, will this speed up the repeg attempt? I know we were told Q3 later on this year. If we hire, this firm and everything looks Gucci, will that kind of press that initiative up, or are we still going to look for Q3 for repeg? Thank you all.
So the best way that I think, developers always get upset with me when I say technology is the easiest part of things, because, but, I think if we have a framework and if that is laid out for us, and if we have the funding to pay for, so that's one thing to maybe talk a little bit about in this space as well, longer term. And we get everything we need. I think that enables work to start on different things like the stable coin, but I think it's a little bit early to schedule when work would start on the actual technology. But I think, Mr. Diamond Hands, that pending governance approval and all of that good stuff, we would start to ask those questions of the law firm, and at least you can start. There's a lot of business analysis work and things like that need to happen in terms of the mechanisms of the stable coin. You need to write a good white paper. You need to really understand the legal how they want to see these things, like if it's over collateralized or you know what I mean, the mechanics of it. We need to understand that, and then once we understand that and we have a clear understanding of all the specifications for it, then we can go to the team and say, okay, here are the specs, now let's develop, right? So it's more a question of when can we get all of that stuff done, and then we get to when we can develop.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much. Keep going. We support you.
And just to quickly add on to that, the firm would be walking with us step-by-step through the stablecoin process. It's something that they will be, very, very involved in.
Awesome, man. I think Vargas, and then we'll go to Jerry. So Vargas, can you hear us?
Hey everybody, hey Ed, long time no talk to. It's been a while. Are we gonna have like an FAQ? If say the proposal does pass and they represented us, is there a place where we could ask them questions or communicate? Some big ones, or like a list of questions that we have too. Like, can we still share station with Duquan, with Luna 2.0, or do we have to build a new one, or how's that work?
So I can take this one. I think, Vargas, that's a great point. What I would recommend we start immediately, and I don't know if there's a community member that would like to do this, but we could create a place where people, maybe the L1 task force or somebody could volunteer to create sort of an input form where we take questions and collate them. Or I don't know if that's something, Marco, you want to lead in terms of finding some community members to lead that effort. But basically, I think the way to do it, the best way, I've found it over the years working with lawyers, is you obtain a whole list of questions all at once. You circulate the questions around the community for like a few weeks or whatever, or a month, or however long it takes to get a good list of questions, and then you send them that collated list of questions, and I think that we would probably be able to get some answers from them to those questions.
Yeah, I agree as well. So one of my backgrounds is community engagement on getting different forms for new programming designs, and we are looking. I would recommend a multi-layered membership of a community. We can call it a community committee or a community council or a lung council, just to have these different AMA forums. And as Lungburn said, collate all the questions, put into a nice, adequate form sheet for these lawyers to look at, to provide recommendations or opinions of how to move forward or not to move forward, and its reasons why, and then push it back out to the community. Since we are serving the community for this new endeavor.
And also, just to kind of touch on your question on the whole Terra station thing, that's all stuff that will be consulted on by the law firm. And also, I want to point out, too, I don't think this has been mentioned yet. With these big proposals, which we believe this is a very big proposal, we're going to be start putting out press releases for these, so that the wider community outside of Twitter is also seeing like kind of what's happening and the progress that we're doing. And we think that it'll bring more eyes to the project.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks.
No, thank you, Vargas. Appreciate it, man. Jerry, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I almost feel I feel very proud of you guys, because I guess I had a very controversial space about this, and my whole deal is with the stablecoin, and my original concerns were confirmed by Lunkburn Army and Edward himself. So I'm glad you guys are seeking counsel. I'm glad this is moving forward. Structure's happening. Everything positive is happening with Luna Classic right now, and it's got me excited. I guess I don't really have any questions. It just seems like the answers are just happening. All the questions people had months ago and stuff like that, it's just starting to happen. You guys are a really good team, and you get things done, and I like it.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Jerry. We appreciate you, man. Next, we'll move over to Demon. How you doing, Demon?
How you doing, gentlemen and ladies?
Doing good, man.
So I have a couple questions about this, just because this is up my alley of what I've dealt with all my life. So this law firm, who exactly would this law firm be representing?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to work out that language. So ideally, the law firm would represent the community, and I know that's really super vague, and how does that even work? And so I think those are some of the challenges that we're trying to figure out. Again, sort of what Marco was saying is possibly like there would be an establishment of a committee of sorts, which would be the primary interface to the law firm, and I think that would probably be the best way to do this. But again, looking for feedback too. Yeah.
The reason I was asking that is because it's a very sensitive thing when you have three different entities. So the blockchain is an entity, TGF is its own entity, and then realistically the L1 task force isn't its own entity, but is split between 6 or 7 separate entities because they're all independent contractors. So it's not even a company that those contractors work for. If the community pays for a law firm, then that law firm would have to represent the community itself and make sure that what TGF is doing and what the L1 task force is doing is within the bounds of the law, are in compliance. So they would be almost like compliance officers for the blockchain itself, for the community, and they couldn't really represent TGF or the L1 task force. The only thing they could say is, hey, the work you guys are doing, we don't like it. It could hinder the blockchain. These things are illegal, or in whichever, they could give like a warning, a cease and desist of the actions that are currently being taken to protect the blockchain itself. Because there's a conflict if we're using the same law firm for all three entities. And listening in the space, the L1 task force members have already had meetings with this law firm. TGF members have had meetings with this law firm. So that tells me that this law firm essentially is going to represent all three, which that's a huge conflict, because if TGF does something wrong and the community wants to take legal action against them, they're going to have to hire a completely different law firm to represent the blockchain, or TGF would. But since they were already paid for to represent TGF is their client, and they can't have two clients that are fighting against the same law firm. Same thing goes for the L1 task force. In this kind, when you're in this kind of situation, each individual contractor would have to hire their own law firm, or you can do a joint firm that all of the contractors, Edward, Tobias, Frag, all of the individuals hire to represent their group. They could do that. But to me, it's a good idea to have a law firm for the blockchain. I support that idea. I just think that if you guys are already working on a prop for this, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, because there's a lot of legal issues that come into this, especially if one law firm is being paid to help out other projects. Now, we could hire a law firm as a blockchain law firm, and if, say, the SEC went after our L1 task force for something, and the community told the law firm saying, hey, go and represent them, that's legal. You can do that. But then the blockchain also takes a risk if they are doing something illegal and the law firm isn't able to fight it. Well, now it falls back on the blockchain. So that's always something to kind of think about too, especially if we're paying the legal representation of this. That was whenever I was just listening to the space and the way you guys were talking about how this is being structured, a bunch of red flags popped up in my head, just because of what I've done in life. I mean, my family, the trust owns a bunch of different companies. Well, technically, our lawyers can represent, the trust as lawyers can represent those other companies that we hold majorities in. Now, each company has its own legal representation, but we also have our own. Now, there's other companies we do business with. Well, we don't pay for their representation, because if they do something that's against the contract, we might have to seek legal action against them. So obviously we wouldn't pay for their legal representation. And that's where this conflict I see can come in, because TGF at the end of the day is a legally registered nonprofit that is a separate entity than the blockchain itself. Now, if it got restructured to where it was owned by the blockchain, okay, I could see that. If the L1 task force members were actual employees of the blockchain, not independent contractors, but actual employees under contract, then I could see this working to where that legal entity is able to legally represent all three.
So I think the key is that these guys have worked with Solana, Axelar, Osmosis, and other large blockchains. So all those pieces you just mentioned, Demon, I think that's exactly the type of stuff that they have expertise with, and that they're going to have to provide guidance on. And it's part of the tricky piece that Ed was mentioning, exactly how we word the different, that's probably why they'll be involved in the writing or feedback on the proposal as well. Well, no, they will be, not probably, they will be, so that all those types of things are taken into account. So, I mean, I would look to them for the guidance because they've already done it on all of the, on a number of other large chains and other organizations. So, like, that's what ultimately I think we're going to need to do.
Yeah, and that's perfect. But one thing I would do is, instead of putting up a spend prop, I don't know how much you guys are asking for, but to pay them, I would put up a small spend prop for them to work on the outline of these and how that structure is going to be. And then if that passes and the community agrees and there's not any conflict of interest within that structure, then you put up an actual spend prop to hire them on full time. And that's when you would go for the full amount, whatever their amount would be.
That's essentially what we're doing. It's a small.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, it's a small spend. Yeah, it's exactly what we're doing, Demon. It's a small spend prop to how everything should be organized, and then we would move forward on larger ticket items after that.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think all those
that was my only point and answered, really.
Like, they're all valid points, and those are things that we need that professional advice on, and so that's what that small spend prop is going to be for. Now, when we say small, I can share roughly roughly the ballpark that we're looking at. We're looking at about $20,000 on the prop, just so everybody's aware. It's not a tiny spend prop, but it's not a large spend prop compared to what what others other big spend proposals can be.
And also, if you look at context of how other law firms charge for the hour, it's a very generous proposal on what the law firm is charging with this current structure in place.
Do we have their hourly breakdown? Because that's not small. I mean, most firms charge anywhere between $600 to $1,200 an hour. So that's telling me they're going to be doing about 20 hours of work on a prop.
There's actually there's going to be a breakdown of everything that they do, and so that will be coming out in the future as well. So yeah, there'll be a definitely breakdown in terms of they're not just working on the prop with this initial proposal.
Awesome. Well, let's try to squeeze in two more. We got two more questions, and then we can look to probably wrap this thing up. We got Chris that's been waiting patiently. Chris, you have the floor, my man. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you for having me up, Matt. Y'all just touched on what I was going to ask, so I don't know if you can go into any more detail at all, but my question that I had was, how much is this going to cost us? Where are those funds going to come from? And how are we going to sustainably create income for the blockchain to be able to afford to do this? And what way will we be able to fund this?
So I can mention, like, sort of the ballpark that was already mentioned was around 20K for this initial prop. In terms of their rates, I know that they have different levels of counsel. So I think for some of the paperwork stuff, it'll be, I think they said something like, the 300 for their junior, attorneys, and then upwards to, 800 for the top guy. But I guess when we first initially met with them, they knew what happened to Luna. They had Luna. they got wrecked as well. So they know the state of the blockchain. They know that we're broke, and they're willing to work with us. Meaning, if it's not and they said this multiple times, they want to see this turned around. They think this is a great opportunity for crypto in general. They see this as an opportunity, and they're not going to be as strict. At least that's sort of the feeling that I got. They said, if you can't pay, that's okay. You can put it off. We want to do this. We want to help. So I think there's a lot of flexibility that they're willing to give, and I wish they would. I think it would be good to just have them, in a space or something, because some of the questions that Demon you were asking, I think that those nuances, right, those are important to understand, and I think having them sort of clarify what the roles and representation and all that stuff, I think that would be important to know.
Thank you very much for that, sir.
All right, thank you, Chris. We'll get to the last question from Crypto Maniac. You have the floor, man. Go ahead and Crypto Maniac, are you there?
Please, can I talk now?
Yep, it's your turn, man. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say I'm proud of being among the loan community, and I'm really proud of the L1 team and the TGF Foundation. I'm really grateful I'm part of this great family. Thank you.
No, thank you, man. We appreciate the kind words. Any of you guys want to give any closing statements before we look to hop out of here?
Yeah, I'll just say, this is a step in the direction that I think everyone wants to go into. This is going to help, I think, expedite things, because we'll have more legal clarification on what we can and cannot do. And, ultimately, it's our goal to be completely legally compliant with both the U.S. and international laws. So, I think this is going to be an amazing step for everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming today.
Yeah, and what I just wanted to say is that, I think that some of the questions, I've received some personally, even during this space, so on and so forth. I think we, will look to find the best, take note of any questions you do have, and we'll look to collate them and find the best way to do so. And, we'll have more discussions as this comes, and, we'll have the Agora post written, and, then we'll have more discussions and questions, I'm sure, and we'll just keep working with the community. And, but yeah, the intent here is really that we're in full compliance with everything that the SEC is going to be coming down the pipe with, as well as any other, other countries that are going to be introducing regulations. We really need to make sure that what we do is compliant, and that we do our best to adhere to those regulations. So I'm excited as well about, at the end of the day, we want the folks that are trying to work on the blockchain and do good work to feel happy and comfortable going to bed at night, that, other actions that are being taken, won't impact them, like what the SEC is up to with Doquan or so on. Like we really want to make sure that we're all, not like that we're fully compliant with everything that's being done. So I look forward to getting more information and being able to provide that to the community as well.
Well, I'm sure we're all excited to see what you guys got coming up, and especially for Q2. So I'll be looking forward to seeing all that information. So thank you guys for the update, and thank you for making the announcement. And if you got any questions, just feel free to reach out, and we'll try to do our best to get them answered for you. So thank you, Ed. Thank you, Marco, Lung Burn, Lung Development Fund, Demon. Appreciate y'all, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.